In 2012, Riot Games issued a 1-year suspension to the professional player I Will Dominate due to his toxic in-game behavior. This would be the first time that Riot punished a professional player for what they were doing outside of professional matches. And it would seem that they were serious, as a few months later, 2 more players received 1-year suspensions. Players named Envision and Linak were outlined in an article by Riot detailing why they were suspended. To put into perspective how toxic you'd have to be to receive this kind of treatment, Riot stated that Envision's account had been reported in 29% of his total matches. And on a separate account, he was reported 436 times within 135 games. Probably not the best teammate. But as you can imagine, that would not be the last time a pro player was punished for what they did in their solo queue games. So today we're looking at some of the pro players who just couldn't resist typing in the chat. From players making honest mistakes out of frustration, to more extreme cases where some players couldn't resist being toxic or even outright racist and ruining their careers.
I said GG 5 times and now I'm banned from playing this stupid game.
But before we get into that, today's video is sponsored by Opera GX. Opera GX has officially partnered with Riot Games to seamlessly bring you all of your esports and League of Legends needs all in one place. Recently, Worlds 2024 took place, and with the Opera GX League of Legends mod, in the GX corner you can find easy access to the most recent highlights, results of previous matches, and the tournament calendar to know when the next match is happening. And this will help you keep track of tournaments in the future as well. And if esports isn't your thing, Opera GX is offering official champion-themed mods as well. Currently starting with Lee Sin and Cassante. These include custom backgrounds, themes, and sound effects throughout the browser. Now if you're worried about switching over from your current browser and starting fresh, don't worry. With the quick import tool, transferring all of your browser history, cookies, and bookmarks only takes a couple of clicks. Also, every extension that works on Chrome also works on Opera GX. So if you're ready to make the jump to Opera GX, use the first link in the description to improve your browsing experience. And by using that link, the League of Legends mods will already be pre-installed. Thank you to Opera GX for sponsoring today's video. Okay, we've all been there before. Your teammate is having a bad game, you're starting to get angry, so you tell them to go die. Specifically, you send 21 back-to-back messages telling your teammate to go die. Alright, this might not be that relatable, but in 2016, the player Road on Team Aimee, who was actively participating in that year's Worlds event, had his behavior exposed on Twitter by another pro player. Aimee bot lane is pretty toxic. There's definitely no behavior check before Worlds tournament. However, this gathered attention and Road was fined $2,000 for his actions and received a 1-match suspension.
Aimee's Road has been suspended for his team's first game Sunday due to verbally abusive behavior in ranked games over the last few weeks.
Which was worse than it sounds, as his team was going to play a match the very next day. So now they have to scramble to get a substitute involved, all because their ADC just couldn't mute the chat. But speaking of being unable to mute the chat, this is MNS, a professional League of Legends player who had a successful career from 2019 to 2023. However, during this time, he did have some infamy for being a bit of a toxic player.
Ebenezer. Who the f is Ebenezer?
It's the Cloud9 mid laner.
I've never seen him.
You know, he told me to end my life in solo queue.
But in September of 2023, MNS played a game with the streamer Spearshot, in which, I guess, things weren't going well, and MNS says, "Ah, just classic. Disgusting EU streamer. Go your country, please." Spearshot would share this chat on Twitter, and the whole matter would gather more attention than I imagine anyone expected. This was a long drama with everyone involved tweeting back and forth, and realistically there's not much of substance. MNS was just being your average toxic solo queue player, when he should know that due to his career, he's no longer allowed to do that. He did end up apologizing, and in the end he did receive a $15,000 fine for, quote, using derogatory and offensive language against another player. He was also required to complete an educational training course on professionalism before participating in the upcoming season. Well, there was no upcoming season. After all the backlash and the fine from Riot, he announced he will be retiring from professional League of Legends and joining the army to complete his South Korean military service. Then, after that, he will pursue his dream of being a veterinarian. And this is like verbatim what he announced. And as this Reddit comment points out, he told Spearshot to stop playing the game and go back to his country. And then he decided to lead by example by doing just that himself. And since then, his most recent message to us was 2 months ago. Better a diamond with a flaw than a pebble without. Confucius. No, really, that's his last tweet. Also, remember the I will dominate story I mentioned at the start? Well, believe what you want to believe, but allegedly there's more to the story. Recently on his podcast, he actually retold the story, and from his perspective, it was a little bit different.
Oh, like, were you just toxic or something? Is that how you got banned? Like, in the first place?
I kind of, like, pretty much we pissed off the wrong writer. That's the long story short was that there was a skin they made with, like, an Udyr skin. It was Spirit Guard Udyr, the original release, and we were just like, me and I'm a Cutie Pie, we were just like making fun of the skin, like and like the artist was there, and like we thought that they were laughing. Like I remember people laughing. I remember people like having a good time. Like I thought we were just being funny, because like Cutie's like a dumbass too. Like me and him are just dumbasses. Like we're just like talking the way we normally talk, and we pissed off, and we were essentially they wanted to ban both of us, but Dignitas convinced Riot that Cutie was actually autistic, and that's why he wasn't able to pick up on the social cues, and they bought it, and then I was the one that got the penalty. So it was supposed to be both of us. I only got the penalty. They're like, I just wasn't autistic enough, apparently. So
now again, believe what you want to believe, because although I won't say that that story didn't contribute to his suspension, when his ban came down, Riot made an entire article basically stating that I Will Dominate was being toxic at an elite level, reporting that he was given multiple warnings. One part specifically states, quote, "Despite the punishments and official warnings, his harassment score has risen more than 30% from early August to the present date, placing him at the top of the list of North American pro players, and among the worst 0.7% of all North American players." And by the way, some of these stories are rather old, but truthfully, stuff like this is always happening in some way or another. The absolute most recent case was during this year's Worlds event. The coach for Mad Lions was found in a solo queue game intentionally trolling. For one reason or another, he's clearly upset at his jungler and he proceeds to follow him around, bothering his camps and then dying for no reason. This goes on for a while and then eventually they lose the game. The type of behavior you can expect from your average solo queue goblin, but not from the coach of a team in the most important League of Legends tournament. Anyway, this got shared in a few platforms, but ultimately I don't think they were seriously punished, at least not publicly. Historically, we've seen Riot be more vocal when it comes to pros misbehaving in the chat over just playing poorly. Although one can definitely argue that ruining a game like this is technically worse than saying some deranged comments in the chat. Riot, however, does not agree. And to send things off, let this be a warning to both you and any pro players watching, that you need to be more careful if you're a streamer. Because a couple days ago, Riot announced changes to their terms of service that will go into effect starting December 3rd. Terms of service changes are always boring, but this time there is a significant update. Our user rules now apply not while playing our games, but also while broadcasting our games. For example, if you engage in criminal activity while streaming one of our games, we can ban you. Acting really badly in any of our games can get you banned from accessing any of our games. Now, this all sounds very extreme, but at the same time, very vague.
I'm gonna click on decline.
We won't know exactly what they're trying to put an end to here until this goes into effect. It'll be interesting to see the first reports of the first major streamer to be affected by this change. Go ahead and place your bets.
blah, blah, blah. For example, Riot Games may take this action measure against you as described in section 1 for hate speech made by you to your live streaming audience while you broadcast yourself playing one of our games. Even if that hate speech is made by the live stream platform and not within one of our games on text or voice chat channels. Is this fake?